a guy push me around. I won't even let a girl. Girls, they're more aggressive than guys, I think, out there.
It's like baseball. It's mental. It's all mental. And, you know, like I said, when you go to bed, you got to be thinking about it.
But he knows the rules. See, he can't play until the last checkered. And so he just kind of hangs out with me, and he'll follow me around, and wherever I go, he goes.
Dirt track racing is mostly a male-dominated sport. However, 5 young women are changing that in the pure stock class at Buffalo River Race Park.
Started off in go-karts in 1999 and just worked my way up and won go-kart championship in 2005 and then moved up to a Hornet out here. And I got second place in points with that last year and won Corn Cob Nationals. And then this year I haven't won anything yet, but hopefully next year. My dad's my crew chief. He's always been there. He does a lot of the work on the car and spends a lot of time and money out in the garage, hurting himself. He raced for a while. My grandpa raced. My uncles raced in the 90s. Just kind of got passed down in the family. Now my brother races go-karts and BMX.
A lot of people say that race car drivers aren't athletes. What do you think about that?
I think they're totally wrong because it is a workout trying to turn that car around the corners for 20-some laps. It wears me out. And I know a lot of people think that they don't say it's a sport because all you do is go around in circles. Well, it's not that easy. You have to put a lot of concentration and thought into what you're gonna do. Like when you pass people, you can't just go for it. You have to think of what's the best way to pass them. Am I gonna crash if I pass them? Am I gonna spin out? So you gotta think about what you're doing before you just go and do it.
This is my second year in pure stocks, but I have raced go-karts before for like 4 years. My friend Jesse Sklicki, he was in it, and then his uncle kind of like asked if I wanted to try, and my dad, and so I just went out and tried it, and I liked it.
Have you felt that you missed out on anything, or?
Well, basically just the lakes, but I'd rather be here anyway, so yeah. I don't really sacrifice anything else.
Did the guys try to intimidate you out there?
There might be a couple that try to, but it doesn't work, so.
Did you get involved in racing through your dad then?
Yes.
Did he want you to drive, or did
Yeah, he did. He came to me about it, so that was nice. I was excited about it.
Were you pretty nervous?
Yeah, I was really bad.
Yeah.
I took it really slow, but
yeah,
it was still fun.
Do you feel like you're missing out on anything sometimes?
Kinda, because almost there's always something to do on the race car, and it takes like all week to fix it, so you don't really get to see your friends that much or anything. You're always working on the car, but it's what I like to do, so I don't mind too much.
We put a lot of heart and soul into our car. We work on it every week. It's just like training for any other sport you do, but we're just doing it a little differently.
The Racing Life is sponsored by Performance Auto, Valley Alignment and Repair, Quality Engines, Red River Kart Club. Here is the Racing Life's Question of the Week.
There's a common thread in all these women. They've been involved in racing through the men in their families. And when given the opportunity to race, there was no hesitation to prove themselves on the track.
Well, it's like everybody in the grandstand thinks that they can drive.
Yeah.
And I used to be one of the best grandstand drivers out there. But until you get in the car, it's a complete different experience. So I thought that if I can do it up there, I know I can drive this car. Okay. So I thought, I know I can do this, but it's not as easy as it looks. It's really not. But that was my main ambition, was just to prove to myself that I know I can do this, okay. You know? A couple of weeks ago, I watched Amy Bruns flip, and that happened almost right in front of me. And when the red flag came out and the flagman was screaming about it, I mean, you looked over and you could see her car was pretty much not looking great.
And nobody wants to see that happen
That's
to
just
anybody, you know.
And it kind of like kicks you in the butt. You're like, oh my God, that can happen. Even in this car, in this class, it does happen.
Yep.
Not as much as like the Ma's or the Legends, because those guys seem to get going and flip a lot. But usually when I'm lining up here for my feature, I always say a little prayer.
Yeah.
Just to kind of ease myself and just to get over it. Because just the waiting part alone is a huge mind game to get out there. There's almost like two families here. Like everybody down this pit road is a big family. I mean, it's fun to come down and kick tires with them every week. Everybody's got their own story. I mean, and you sit and listen to them and they'll listen to you.
Well, my dad's been racing for 39 years now. My brother, this would be his 4th year racing. And then my other brother is racing now too with me in pure stocks. And my dad owns his own radiator shop and things like that. So I've grown up around racing my entire life. I think I was 4 or 5 months old when I went to my first race.
I just want to see all these young drivers improve as they come down the chamber again.
Every day I have off from work, I try to work on my race car.
Yeah.
Either that or it's someone else's race car I'm helping on. Yeah, I gotta make sacrifice.
Yeah. How do you perceive yourself on the track? Are you kind of cautious still? Are you a little shy still?
No.
No?
I'm not. I've never been that way. Okay. Even after I rolled my race car, I was like, let's go, getting out there. You know, I had that gut feeling earlier in that day that something was gonna happen. I didn't think much of it, just kind of let it go, and I was actually doing really good. I was going up, I was passing people, I was happy, and all of a sudden I rolled. And it's just shock from rolling, and I was like, I just can't believe I just did that. I was more of mad that my car got damaged.
Yeah.
I mean, I got out of the car and I was like, my car. I didn't even care about myself. I was bleeding in the arm and stuff. I was like, oh, am I going to be able to race? That's all I thought about. Everyone said that as soon as I rolled my car. They're like, oh, you're going to be scared next weekend? No, I want to get in the car. Yeah. I was like, let's get this thing fixed, and I want to get out there.
There needs to be more girls out here in the sport, you know, getting out and doing stuff other than shopping and getting your nails done.
We can show them that girls can also do it, to show the boys that it's not just their sport.
I will not let a guy push me around. I won't even let a girl. Girls, they're more aggressive than guys, I think, out there.
We put a lot of heart and soul into our car. We work on it every week. It's just like training for any other sport you do, but we're just doing it a little differently.
I wanted to make something sort of living out of this. I'd like to go somewhere. Next year will probably be the stepping stone of probably my career. I've been in the V-Mods, it's time to move up. It feels like I'm wasting youth, and youth is huge in racing.
The Racing Life is sponsored by Dakota Cat, Peterman Seeds, Randall's Excavating, Cheyenne River Kennels. Here is this week's driver factoid.
Ryan Mikkelson is a rising star in WISSOTA dirt track racing. At the young age of 20, he's accomplished more in one season than most drivers do in a career, and he's done it all himself. When he's racing, his dad, Chris, keeps watching the pits with his yellow lab, Charlie, by his side.
This has been the best year I've ever had. We purchased the new Skyrocket chassis going into this year. It's my fourth year at a BMOD, and we got 3 track championships, Jamestown, Lisbon, and here in Red River Valley Speedway in Fargo. And we got North Dakota wrapped up, and we're sitting 5th in the nation, and we're pretty locked in there. So it's been a pretty awesome year. I started when I was 9 in go-karts, and that led all the way up till I was 14, and hopped 2 years in bombers, and I've been in a BMOD for 4 years. Yeah, it was a big learning curve, but I had Travis Saurer help me out. I purchased his car. He was a national title winner, and he's been a good help, and I've had a lot of help in how I got into it. And, you know, it's been a big learning curve, and what I've always enjoyed about it is I've always been doing everything myself. First year, I won Jamestown on my 4th night in with the BMOD, and the 7th night in, I rolled in Lisbon, I rolled in Lisbon, went off corner 1. What happened was a guy lost the steering wheel 2 cars ahead of me. The car in front of me actually veered straight ahead. Well, the car came down and he turned to the right, and I turned to the right with him, and the guy behind me actually hit me right behind the right rear tire, and it punched me off corner 1. And I went about, 20 feet, nose dived, and it was 4 times end over end. But I went to the hospital, had an ambulance ride, but it was just a sore neck, I just couldn't move it. But seriously, I've been pretty grateful to not get hurt. So.
Yeah. Did that scare you?
I didn't. It took a while.
Car, weren't you?
Oh yeah, but it took a while to sink in.
Right.
So.
Right.
I think when I had the CAT scan, it was finally realized, like, holy crap, what happened?
Yeah.
But yeah, I've been grateful for not getting in an accident and been hurt. So. 2008 Viking Fall Classic in Alexandria, Minnesota. I went into that race pretty much kind of a nobody. Nobody really knew. I was about 16th in national. It was my 2nd year in a BMOD. And a couple weeks before that happened, before that race, I actually wrecked my whole body. So what I did was I just threw tin on, no decals, all white. And I had a black body, and I just threw on all white tin, just went out there with a number. And no one knew who I was. And I went out there, won my heat, and started outside pole. And I beat Brock Grunwald and Josh Tennis, who actually, Brock Grunwald won the national title the year before, and Josh Tennis won the track championship in Alec that year, and ended up winning that. And that was the biggest win of my career, and I'd say it's most memorable because that kind of put me on the map, I think.
Yep.
And after that, I realized that I could actually do something. I could go farther than that. I wanted to make some sort of living out of this. I'd like to go somewhere. Next year will probably be the stepping stone of probably my career. I've been in the VMODs, it's time to move up. Feels like I'm wasting youth, and youth is huge in racing. For the AMOD program, you definitely need to show what you got in the first 2 years. You say World of Outlaws are pretty much where everybody wants to be, but for modified division, USMTS is where it's at. And I am definitely hooked on mods. Nothing else I want to drive. I grew up watching them, and I just love mods.
But he knows the rules. See, he can't play until the last checkered, and so he just kind of hangs out with me, and he'll follow me around, and wherever I go, he goes.
The Racing Life is sponsored by Norman County Raceway, Nugget Vending, North Dakota Engine Builders, 295websites.com. Here are the Racing Life's fan pictures of the week.
You think there should be more girls racing?
Hi Katie, this is Betty. I got your question here. Do you think there should be more girls racing? Absolutely. It's very much a family sport. I started out racing and I got my son into racing now. Thank you.
Hi, my name is AJ and my question is how many races has Travis Saurer won?
Hi AJ. The question was how many races have I won? I've won 204 feature wins. Last year I ran about 140 shows between the two cars.
Racing is a lot of hard work and long hours in the shop. Ryan describes how much time and detail goes into having a winning race car.
The past 3 years I've had a good car. I ended up getting top 10 in national last year and about 10 wins, and my time was spent in the shop, but as the years gone on, the learning curve and the more attention to the car itself, and I don't say you want to be a perfectionist, but you have to. And the races are definitely one in the shop, and the time spent and the time where you go to bed thinking about how you can get faster, and those are the guys that are gonna be faster. A typical race for me, well, I usually make the inverts. I start 8th, and there's usually 20 laps, so you always want to be cautious the first couple laps because the guys with lower point averages will start up front. You want to stay cautious, but you want to make your moves at the right time. When you get an opening, you want to take it, and don't psych yourself out because the first 5 laps are kind of your set in stone of how the race is going to be played out. You know, you can't just flip a switch. You got to be on your game 20 laps. Usually, when I prefer a dry slick track because it's more driver feel. When you do that, I've always been good learning from go-karts to run the throttle and ride the brake. And then, most important thing about me and this car is I've always liked this. I'm really good through going through the middle. You know, a lot of cars can go good off the corners, but you know, there's 3 parts of a corner: entry, center, and exit. Right. And everybody forgets about entry and middle. So. And I've just learned about, you know, my driving. I've always learned from running every class that I've been in that there's 3 parts of the corner and you have to be as smooth as you possibly can, and you have to make your moves when you can. It's like baseball, it's mental. It's all mental. You know, like I said, when you go to bed, you gotta be thinking about it. The most important thing about a race car is the driver. You know, I mean, that if you got a problem with why your car won't turn, I'll fix the driver, you know? I mean, the driving has to be top notch. You have to be smooth, absolutely, but you know, with the driver, you have to be quick to adapt to the track, you know, especially dirt. Dirt changes every single lap, no matter beginning and the end of the race, it always changes, and you gotta search. You gotta have the right eyesight to look for it and feel. You gotta know what you're feeling for each corner, try something, oh, this like that, here or there, and you gotta work your way through traffic too while you're doing that.
Do you have any superstitions about racing? Do you have a routine that you follow or anything like that?
I wear hockey socks. They're Under Armour socks. I usually like to wear sponsor shirts, John Deere or Williams Construction. Hockey socks, I got a different 3 sets that I alternate. And just like hockey, you put everything on from your left side first. You know, I usually tell I got a wristband on the left. Yeah. Just the way it is. Yeah, you can meet a lot of people that are pretty awesome. You can meet a lot of people, and there's friends that you can have here forever. Yeah. That's probably the most. I mean, you come here because it's just fun, you know? And that's what I tell my dad. I said, I want to come out here and have fun and do the best I can. But there's nothing better than, you know, the adrenaline, and you got to have your competitiveness to win.
Yes.
And, you know, when you win, sometimes second isn't good enough, but then you look at it later and you got to be grateful that you're not wrecked.
Yeah.
You drove it on the trailer.
Yeah.
You know, there's ups and downs with it. You can never have a winning record, but you just got to be, I've always looked at it, I have to go forward.
Yeah.
I start a position, I always have to go forward. I always want to know I have a good enough car to win.
As Ryan keeps moving forward in racing, you can be sure a special member of his pit crew will be right there with him. Chris Mikkelson, Ryan's dad, describes how Charlie is a big part of the Mikkelson racing team.
But he knows the rules. See, he can't play until the last checkered. And so he just kind of hangs out with me, and he'll follow me around, and wherever I go, he goes. But as soon as the races are over, he knows it, and he grabs the bottle, and he goes find somebody right away.
And how many shows has Charlie been to this year?
60. He's averaging over 60 shows a year. It's unbelievable. We go to these great big shows, and they get these lulls like what we got going right now, and all of a sudden he goes, it must be over. And he'll start searching around, and I'll see him, and all I have to do is say, no, Charlie, not yet. He comes back and waits.
Oh,
And then when he's playing hard and he needs water, I just say, Charlie, get some water. Over he goes, gets his water. He's with me 24/7, so he reads my mind really well, and I read his. We were down in Aberdeen earlier this year, and this guy came up and he goes, I remember that dog from Huron the year before. And unbelievable. But my greatest story about him is up in Norman County in Ada. There's bleachers in the pit area. If I go up in the bleachers, Charlie goes up in the bleachers, and I'm up there. And all of a sudden, this good-looking gal comes over, and she says, I heard about this dog. She says, I just had to meet him. And she bends down and she starts petting me and goes, hi, Charlie, how you doing? And I looked at her and I said, you know my name? And she says, no.
But you knew your dog.
You knew Charlie. Everybody does. Yeah, Charlie.
You've got some fans, that's for sure.
Big time. Number one right here.